Hi everyone, Jordan from iBeacons here. Excited to talk to you all today about beacons and geofencing. Hopefully you're hearing me okay. If you're not, I am on Twitter at JordanJoshFrank. You should be able to raise your hand, and you should be able to see a chat too if you do have any questions or anything that comes up. But if not, just message me on Twitter. I've got that open too. Yeah, actually, let me send you the link for YouTube. It's good to keep up, keep this page up on one tab and open it up on YouTube too, because there's a little bit of delay. Maybe put this page on mute. If you don't mind the delay, it's okay. But this page is nice because you can chat with me here. You can raise your hand if you have a question. But there is a bit of delay, so you might want to watch on YouTube too. I think that's all for housekeeping. I guess before we dig into too much, I should share the slide share and share a little bit about us. You have a slide share here. Let me pull up. Yeah, so just before we dig into the webinar, I did want to give a brief intro about us. But yeah, like I said, Jordan from iBeacons. Our company works in location-based technology. We have a headquarters in Paris, and then we're based out of Barcelona. Our iBeacons team is based out of Barcelona. We have a nearby shopping app. We do proximity consulting. It works with beacons too. So you can learn more at iBeacons.com. Or if you want to check out our blog, iBeaconTrends.com. It has a lot of really good articles and case studies. So again, and for those of you just joining us, there will be an FAQ at the end, but if you do have any questions along the way, feel free to type them in here. And I'll try to get to them during the webinar. If not, then there'll be some time at the end. And you might want to watch the YouTube link that I sent in the chat box here, and still keep this open for the chat. And you can, follow along with the slide share as well. So, as you probably know, if they're not there already, beacons are coming to businesses near you. And many brands actually have deployments or at least are using geofencing, but do not actually publicize that they're using them. So they can be doing, small scale tests or, just using them to gather analytics. But beacons and geofencing can really help you reach customers at the right place at the right time. So that's why we wanted to put together this webinar here, so you can all learn more about the technology. I mean, I know with any new technology, it's there's a little bit of a learning curve, so we wanted to make that we wanted to make the technology as easy to learn as possible. So we have this webinar. We have an iBeacon overview, and then we'll go into iBeacon marketing in particular, iBeacon hardware, iBeacon software, and then I think it's really important to know how to analyze iBeacon marketing campaigns too. And then we'll have geofencing integrated throughout too. I'll go into a little bit in the beginning about geofencing, and I can pull up a little bit more at the end when we're talking about analyzing marketing campaign. I'll also give you like an inside look into our own dashboards. You can know like what it looks like, what the whole process looks like to create a beacon or geofencing campaign in action. So, vamos, let's get going. So, iBeacons. I guess maybe I should explain proximity marketing in general, and in particular tie in geofencing here. So proximity marketing is any system that utilizes location technologies to communicate with customers or just users in general via their portable devices. So think of a smartphone or so you can send media at concerts, just general information, send a survey out, do check-ins at a conference. You can help with payments. So proximity marketing isn't just one technology, and it's not just one approach. It can actually be implemented using a number of different methods, including NFC, near field communication. You probably know that more from the contactless payments. Geofencing, which I get into, Li-Fi, you can actually send messages with lights. RFID, I'm sure you know RFID from, I mean, it's in a lot of different badges and different things for checking in, but a lot of retailers will use it to keep track of their products. And then, of course, iBeacon technology. Main proximity marketing tools. But really, a lot of people look to Bluetooth beacons and, by extension, geofencing as the best way to launch a proximity marketing campaign because of their flexibility indoors. So the other technologies, they have some uses, but beacons, we think, are the most flexible, especially when you combine them with geofencing. So as far as geofencing, as you know, sending messages to someone based on their GPS position, it works great for outdoors, but doesn't work indoors. It also drains a lot of battery and is a bit less accurate than beacons, even outside. But as I've been saying, you can use them with beacons pretty easily, and I'll show you how to do that closer to the end. So back to beacons. So just to give you a visual, share. Got two right here. Beacons are small devices that, let me get back to screen share, that you can place virtually anywhere. Some of them work better outdoors than others. And they have a range of generally around 30 meters, but now with the new Bluetooth 5, a lot of manufacturers are extending their range. So some can work even a couple hundred meters away. And typically there's a mobile application involved that enables the technology to work. Although with Google's new Eddystone, which if anyone has any questions about Eddystone, I can get to at the end too, you can now send if someone has a Chrome browser. Unfortunately, most people with iPhones do not have Chrome browsers. In general, if you want to reach the Apple and Android market, people use these physical beacons. And depending on your goal and hardware, the prices can range from just $5 we've seen for beacons that last a couple weeks to over $100 for the more cloud beacon that can control, that has really long battery length and can control other beacons too. In general, we see around 20 euros maybe, but it depends on your manufacturer. Yeah, we recommend usually if you're having a long-term placement to at least be spending about 20 euros. And so unlike Bluetooth in the past, this new Bluetooth low energy, the keyword is low, this signal takes, the signal that it sends takes a very small amount of energy. So that's why these batteries can last so long for the beacons themselves, and that's why it doesn't take up much battery for your phone to search for this beacon signal. So yeah, I think there's a lot of power in this technology. You know, you can place beacons anywhere for years without changing the battery, and then you don't need to worry about them stealing all of your app users' battery too. And before we go into iBeacon marketing, I did want to mention one other misconception. It's that beacons collect data and user privacy is at risk. Again, they just send out an identifier. They don't collect any data themselves. The app administrator, you in most cases, can certainly use the knowledge to know a specific user is in your store, and so you can attach that to other data, such as OS language, male, female, whatever other data you collect, or emails. But any data collected is up to the app administrator. So merely by using beacons, the user's privacy is not at risk. It's how that data is used. I have that where their location is. So basically, if a user can trust the app, if they can trust you, they can trust the beacons. Okay, so on to iBeacon marketing. So I think I covered why beacons over other technology as far as geofencing, but I'll also mention that with Li-Fi, the phones have to be out and visible to the light, and oftentimes people walk around stores with their phones in their pocket. RFID, the readers are really expensive, and I think all smartphones, I haven't heard of any smartphones that have an RFID reader built in. And then NFC, near field communication, kind of the contactless payments. They have a very tiny range of 10 centimeters or less, so your phone has to touch it. So that's another action that someone has to take. They have to basically put their phone up to an NFC reader for them to get a message. Also, a lot of phones don't have NFC readers too. So hopefully that covers that for you. And again, if you have any questions, there's a tab open here. Who's using it? A lot of different, a wide range of verticals, not just in the retail space. But yeah, I mean, Virgin Airlines was big in the Beacon States when it came out a couple years back. Starbucks has launched different trials, so has McDonald's. A lot of big brands are jumping on the new technology. And they're really popular at events. Museums is a huge sector for beacons. Sports stadiums, they're here in Camp Nou in Barcelona, on the metro, on buses, in taxis. They're used by farmers. We're even seeing them at a lot of airports now too, because they're great for indoor mapping, especially to help the visually impaired get around. So yeah, wide range of verticals beyond retail. And then in retail, there's, like I said, fast food, cafes, lots of stores, Macy's, pharmacies, yeah, wide range. And the more people see them in everyday life, the more common we'll see them in retail too. So the opportunity here is that, with millions of apps on both Android and iOS, it's really becoming difficult to stand out amongst the crowd. And so retailers are now seeing this opportunity that beacons offer to make themselves stand out as industry innovators, generate some press, but also keep shoppers engaged at the right time and in the right place. Retailers are really struggling, at least we've seen, to get active app users. And so having in-store deals delivered straight to someone's phone can offer a lot of benefit, enough benefit, we think, that someone will download the phone just for that, or download the app just for that. And there are currently 6 million beacons deployed, roughly, probably more like 7 or 8. And people are expecting 400 million by 2020. So beacons are out of the trial phase and into commercial deployments. So it's a really great time to learn from the mistakes that others have made in the past, and still be an innovator, still get involved in the industry while it's still in the growth stage. So of course, with any new technology, there are some concerns, security, privacy, spamming, and also we get a lot of questions about, how many people actually have Bluetooth on. Question. There hasn't been too much research except for specific case studies, but in general, we would say like 30% in Europe, 20 to 30% depending on where you are. And there have been some studies in the US for beacon campaigns, and it's about a third too. So you're not going to reach all of your consumers, but if you use some of the best practices, like not sending out 1,000 different messages, sending out just spam and offering no benefits for having Bluetooth on, then you're not going to have the best results. So, be really clear with users how you use the information, and always give them value. And you can use geofences too. So this gives you a better chance of reaching users outside your shop, so you can combine them. Send a geofence campaign when they're within a kilometer of your shop, saying that there's in-store deals waiting for them. To turn Bluetooth on when they get there, and you'll have much more success this way by sending people in store, and then once they're in store, getting them there too. And of course, use quality hardware and software. So I'll get into both of those now. So yeah, there's a lot of things to think about when you're choosing hardware. Like I said, you probably want to aim for a price range of around 20 euros. We do have this 10 questions to ask your beacon manufacturer opinion, which would be helpful. And then the full, actually no, I don't have the full length article here. And if actually your beacon is not working so well, here's a troubleshooting pin too. I'll mention a few key points. Ask about battery length. So that's the differentiator between a lot of beacons and their prices. You may even want rechargeable batteries or USB. Also think about their location. If they're going to be outside, you want sturdy housing. Make sure that they are actually waterproof. They're certified waterproof, because some beacons say they're waterproof, but they're not. And you maybe want something like, I just showed you these two right here. Maybe you want something a little more inconspicuous, like it goes into a white wall so no one notices it so much if you just collect the data. Or maybe you really want something to stand out with a sign that says, turn Bluetooth on now. So you really have to think about how exactly you're going to be using the beacons and their location, so you choose the right housing for them too. Also note whether it's formatted for Apple's iBeacon or Google's Eddystone. A lot of manufacturers offer both now. We definitely recommend you looking for beacon manufacturers that offer iBeacon and Eddystone. iBeacon is the main format that people are still using. We recommend you starting out with iBeacon, but Eddystone we think is the future. So if Google keeps working in Eddystone, we think most beacon deployments will be on Eddystone, but for right now, iBeacon. But it's nice to have that flexibility for the future. Just in summary, most well-known manufacturers suit you just fine, but before purchasing, ask for some case studies or recommendation for someone who's used them before. And as far as software, rather than building it internally, let me get you to the software page here. Rather than building it internally, which can take a long time and not work out so well, it's risky. I do recommend using a platform. Like I said, Geofencing is a platform, so we're a bit biased, but we're happy to have you aboard to share more. But there's other good platforms out there too. So we definitely recommend using a well-known platform, one that takes privacy and security seriously, and one that has some good case studies behind it too. Besides making your life easier and your developers' life easier, it would be embarrassing if the proximity functionality in your app just stops working because the SDK and API you integrate are not kept up to date with best practices. So yeah, you really want to be in touch with whatever software provider you're thinking about, making sure they're answering all the questions you have for them. Like, making sure it's easy to integrate. You don't want to have your developer spending days integrating the SDK. Make sure it's possible to send messages on iOS and Android. Ask how often it's updated. You want it to be updated enough to prevent bugs and to keep up with what Apple and Google are doing. You're just constantly having to update your app. And of course, make sure it has a REST API. This is essential for a quality platform, and ask if this API provides ready-to-use statistics, like average time in points or zones, who visited what. Maybe if you want to get the mobile data, such as like operating system, device model, etc. So you want the ready-to-use statistics, and some raw data would be helpful too that you can get from the API and create your own kind of customized reports. So hopefully that covers everything for you guys as far as software and hardware. And now, before getting into analyzing, I wanted to show you guys our own platform here. Let me just log into it quickly. Okay. Here now. So this is what a campaign dashboard will typically look like. So we have beacons and geofencing here. First, just the settings section. You can see the integration guides. You can easily get it up and running in your app for iOS and Android. Come with UUIDs. So we give you one per app, and you distinguish the beacons based on the major and the minor. So you've got the UUID for all your beacons right here. We've got a demo app. You can test it out with API key, API secret down there. And then you can set up your beacons here. So you can give it a name, it has the same UUID, you give it a major and a minor. Usually, like, you can have all of the beacons in the same location, give them the same major, and then give them a different minor to distinguish in that particular location which beacon it is. With this too. Not in the ocean, somewhere around here. And you got a beacon set up there. You can add geofences too. Pretty simple. Big or small as you want. Probably don't want too big, but it's nice to have a little bit of breathing room. You can kind of get as close as you want here. Oh. Yeah. And then, yeah, pretty simple. You've got beacons and geofencing set up now. And to create a campaign, really easy to do too. Give it a name just for your own internal purposes. Campaign. Date. Like today until tomorrow. You can either send a message out to people pretty easily. So, hey, come inside and buy everything. 10% off. And that can be sent in the foreground, in the background. You have to do it here. Come in today. You have the app title there, and then a foreground message, or sorry, background message. So either way, if they've got the app in the foreground, this is what it'll send them, or in the background. And it also works on smartwatches too. You can have it repeated once every day, or a couple days, or every couple hours. Like I said, you don't want to send a bunch of spam out. You can launch a campaign only if Bluetooth is enabled, so that makes sense. But if you're using geofencing, it's a different story. What will trigger it, beacons or geofences, when they're entering the geofence area or exiting. You can add them right here. So I think it was BCN geofence. So now that will work for the geofence. And just one last thing, app callback. So you can send the message out really easy to like this, but we also have this callback functionality, so you can do anything really. We use it to send images and web pages. You can open up other apps in the App Store or just other apps. But it's something that you and your team code, we can help you out for an additional charge. But it's, yeah, something that offers a lot of flexibility with what you can do. So basically, it calls back your app for more information. And yeah, there it is. It's active. So we can actually show you the campaign, but not an incredible amount of time here. Yeah, that's it. Easy as that. And then, yeah, just briefly before we have a few minutes for questions and answers. And analytics is really important. I think a lot of people just go gung-ho setting up the beacons and the campaigns and everything, but forget that the analytics is one of the main reasons that people are using beacons and geofencing in the first place. So there's a lot you can do here. I guess So with the campaign section, you can compare. You can look at the campaigns and see how many deliveries there were, how many unique users got them. You can also see the different trigger types and what stats you have there. So if people saw based on you entering the beacon area or exiting the beacon area, or entering geofence, exiting. So it's just kind of like comparing all campaigns too. How many campaigns you did. based on if they're entering or exiting an area or a beacon. And then you can look at specific beacons too. So yeah, these are a lot of graphs here. How can you actually use it? Well, there's a lot of things you can do. You can, create a message campaign saying that there's 20% off shoes, for example, attached to all the beacons in this one particular store. You can send this message to beacons with the most to the least action. So if you see people stopping in one particular beacon, you might think they're ready to buy. So this might be a really good place for you to send a message to them. You can also use this information to make sure that your whole store is covered by beacons, to see which beacons were not visited, and if they were visited like with enter and exit. You can get a really good idea of your visitor flow, see which areas were visited, which weren't. You can see if beacons are working, which ones aren't. You can do different things like if you'll know with your app in general what devices are being used, so that you have more Android or iOS users, but this could also help you see that you have more iOS users in your store, even though you have a lot more Android users. So maybe you want to focus more on your iOS app. You can do a lot of things like A/B testing particular campaigns, particular beacons, particular geofences, and see data that can help you improve your store, just the general flow of your store. You can have your employees see the general flow, and you can even see what types of users are actually going to your store to improve campaigns beyond beacons and geofencing. So I think that should be it. Hope you guys have feel like you've gotten a good overview of the technology and have a good idea of how you can use it. Here, the screen share. It's an exciting technology, and we're always seeing new and creative uses for beacons. And hopefully you have all you need to launch or to improve your campaigns now too. So again, if there's any questions, feel free. I'll stay on the line for a few minutes here. And I did want to mention that we offer a free consulting session. We always get some really interesting people with interesting ideas and projects talking to us. And so this is a great way for us to connect with you further, learn a little bit about your project, and see if there's any way we can work together. So if you wanted to schedule something, just use that link. And it'd be great to talk. And you can keep in touch with me directly on Twitter or on LinkedIn. Guess I can give you my email as well. Yeah. Well, as I said, I'll stay on the line for a few minutes in the chat box here. And if you want to email me or DM me on Twitter, we can keep the conversation going that way, or just sign up for a free consultation and we can keep talking face to face. All right. Well, thank you all for attending, and I'll be in the line here. So if you have any questions, I'm here now, or get in touch. Nos vemos.